What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here. Welcome to our daily show where we discuss everything going on here in our country that you need to know about here on a daily basis. We got some crazy stuff going on here already as we're learning more and more information of what's going on here with the Nancy Pelosi, Paul Pelosi break-in. Also, I want to share with you Senator Bernie Sanders talking about $1,400 stimulus checks, potential for them, more of those coming here in the future. We'll go over that here in this video. So we'll talk about that here as well. And yeah, we got a lot of different things to talk about here on what might be happening here in Congress going forward, what might happen here after the midterms. We're really going to have a lot here to talk about. So let's jump right in. And if you're new to our channel, or if you haven't yet, make sure to click the subscribe button down below and then the bell icon so you don't miss out on new videos. It's completely free to do so. And thank you for hitting the like button as well. It's part of my commitment to keep you up to date here with everything going on here in our country on a daily basis. The attacker who broke into Nancy Pelosi, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, San Francisco home and attacked her husband, Paul Pelosi, and hit him in the head with a hammer and caused a skull fracture. He had to go undergo surgery for the skull fracture. He's 42 years old. Paul Pelosi's 82 years old. He broke into the back window of his home, smashed the glass. The suspect's name, who's already arrested and in custody, his name is David DePappy, had a list of other people to target that police have now recovered. There is a lot of fake news going on around about this story. So keep this in mind. This is directly from Fox News here, guys. So this is actually true. But be aware there's a lot of like fake news going on around about this stuff. The guy broke into his house. There was shattered glass, and they didn't know each other or anything like that. So if you're hearing anything like that, there's no credible sources reporting that. I've looked into it, and I mean, he shattered the glass and broke into their home. Okay, hit him in the head with a hammer. And here's the details. This is being reported by Fox News, which is a Republican station, right? They're not really friends of the Pelosi's. The man accused of breaking into House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's California home and assaulting her husband had a list of other people to target, according to police. So Nancy Pelosi and her husband were not the only people. So this is according to police. There were other people this guy wanted to target. Yeah. David DePappy, 42, allegedly broke into Nancy Pelosi's home Friday. I mean, I don't know about allegedly. I mean, they literally arrested him and found him in the home, but whatever. At least, and he hit Paul Pelosi at least once in the head with a hammer. Police are now saying that they have recovered a list belonging to DePappy of other potential targets, but they have not yet released who was on the list, and they have not referred to it as a, quote, hit list. But I mean, you guys can just, use your imagination on what this list is, okay? Police responded to the home at 2 a.m. to find DePappy and Paul Pelosi struggling over a hammer. Pelosi was reportedly able to call the police by saying he needed to go to the bathroom, and just left the line blank. He just called the police silently, and then the police came over. This guy, DePappy, is a conspiracy theorist who frequently posted online and has been, quote, this is a quote from his ex-life partner, mentally ill for a long time, what his ex-life partner said. uh, who is named Oxane Taub. Taub herself was a jailed nudist activist convicted on child abduction charges. They claimed in an interview with ABC7 to have raised two sons with DePape along with her daughter from a previous relationship. They went on to detail one incident that DePape reportedly came home after disappearing for almost a year out of the blue, saying, quote, he came back in very bad shape. He thought he was Jesus. He was constantly paranoid, thinking people were after him. And it took a good year or two to get back to, being halfway normal. He now faces charges of attempted homicide, assault with a deadly weapon, elder abuse. I mean, the guy's 82 years old, burglary, and other felonies following the incident. Also, Donald Trump Jr. posts a Paul Pelosi Halloween costume image mocking the hammer attack on Nancy Pelosi's husband. And here's what he posted from his Twitter account. Donald Trump Jr. says the internet remains undefeated. Also, if you switch out the hammer for a red feather boa, you could be Hunter Biden in an instant. It says, got my Paul Pelosi Halloween costume ready. A pair of underwear and a hammer. This posted by Donald Trump Jr. This is honestly, this is sad because, you know, the they complain that, Donald Trump's getting, harassed by the FBI. But when Nancy Pelosi's husband gets attacked and hits in the head with a hammer, they find it funny, right? So it's not cool when the FBI serves a search warrant and takes back government documents. That's not okay. That's not cool. But when someone breaks into their home and actually assaults the guy, hits him in the head with a hammer, and he has to undergo surgery, they laugh at it and they find it funny. The guy's 82 years old. I mean, you can let me know your thoughts on this, but imagine if this happened to Donald Trump and he got hit in the head with a hammer. I mean, would they find that funny? I mean, honestly, this is just not cool. Also, assaulting a member of Congress or even trying to attack a member of Congress is considered a federal crime. So a lot of people are saying, talking about this here. This is a previous article here from years ago, but there's a law that provides for the death penalty for killing a member of Congress, presidential or vice presidential candidate, or a Supreme Court justice, as well as imprisonment up to life for attempting to kill such a person. And remember, this person was after Nancy Pelosi, who is a member of Congress, okay? And attempting to kill such a person, which they have a charge for attempted homicide here, okay? This is an article about a previous thing here, but I wanted to share this with you guys. The background of this law is interesting. When President JFK, John F. Kennedy, was assassinated in Dallas in 1963, it was not a federal crime to for this to happen. And the alleged assassin, Lee Harvey Oswald, had been tried. The trial would have taken place in Texas State Court. But in 1965, Congress passed a law making it a federal crime to kill, kidnap, or assault the president or vice president. In 1968, presidential candidate and U.S. Senator Robert F. Kennedy was assassinated. This was not a federal crime at the time, and that man was convicted in California State Court for the murder and sentenced to death. When the state abolished the death penalty, In 1971, Congress enacted this new law, which extended the protection of a federal crime law to members of Congress, paralleling the extension to the president and the vice president, and now the Supreme Court members as well. Yeah, so you can see here that they've made additional penalties for this because it's a hate crime. It's a hate crime. So yeah, let me know your thoughts here on this. It's a pretty serious thing here. Okay, so next up we have Senator Bernie Sanders, who's an independent, talking about that we need to get some things done here before as we go into the elections here. Let you. I'll show you here what he says here, and then we'll talk about a couple different things here. Check this out.
What Republicans are trying to do, and too many Democrats are allowing them to get away with it, they're saying it's Joe Biden's fault, it's Bernie Sanders' fault, because we passed an American Rescue Plan when you lost your job and were going to be thrown out of your house. We came to help you. We got you $1,400 for every man, woman, and child. I don't apologize for that. And when you lost your job, we extended unemployment benefits. Don't apologize for that. And when your hospitals were falling apart because they couldn't deal with the pandemic, we got their money. I don't apologize for that. So they are saying, Republicans, well, it's that $1,400 that Biden Sanders got you. That's the cause of inflation. And that is total crap. Because then they're going to have to explain why in the United Kingdom today inflation is 10%. Bernie Sanders caused that? Joe Biden caused that? I don't think so. They're going to have to explain why inflation in Europe is at 11%, higher than the United States. So the point is, inflation is by and large a global crisis, and this is what it's caused by. It is caused by the pandemic, which has resulted in a break in supply chains. Companies can't get the products they need when they need it. It has been caused by this horrific, terrible, terrible war in the Ukraine. Russia invaded Ukraine, causing chaos. And those are two of the major reasons. But I'm going to tell you the third reason that we don't talk about, and Republicans will never talk about it, and that is the incredible amount of corporate greed that we're seeing today.
Yeah, so what are your thoughts here? Do we need to pass more? Do we need to do more to help, or should we say, well, inflation can't help because inflation? We're seeing some messages on both sides of the aisle. There are both sides of the coin there for that. With that being said, we're already starting to see some negotiations here on this side. One being the child tax credits to increase that to the higher level of $3,000 to $3,600 in exchange for some of the Trump tax cuts from 2017. Is something that could be passed here this year for about 60 million children. Is something that could happen. So that is something that they're going to try to do here this year. We could see some negotiations on the $2,400 raise to Social Security. Again, something that could happen here as well. Could we see negotiations on another stimulus check? Because remember here that there's about somewhere around $600 billion of stimulus money left over that they could use without even printing new money. So this is money that's already allocated and, theoretically, one could say wouldn't add to inflation because they've already printed the money. A lot of this money they don't even print. It's just electronic nowadays. They just magically add a zero to their bank account and then send the money out, to your debit cards and your bank accounts. And some money they print, some money they print with a check. But regardless, is that there's about $600 billion, which is actually enough for more than a $1,400 stimulus check, probably more than a $2,000 stimulus check. I'd have to do the math. But they could do this without approving any new money. This is leftover stimulus money from stimulus package 1, 2, and 3 combined. And they simply need to just reallocate it, and spend it. This is part of the reason why the Republicans didn't want to approve more vaccine money in the last go around because they said there's billions and billions of dollars of leftover money. And again, I'm not really picking sides here. It's just kind of the stance that the Republicans took on that particular matter, saying, why would we spend, it was, I don't know, $20 billion or something more in new money when they could just use the leftover money? But I mean, honestly, there's so many different kind of, you could put me on a debate team and I could argue either side. I could argue either side on pretty much almost any side of the coin. You ever play that game where it's like, you pick a card from the deck and it's like, okay, argue this point of view to the best of your ability. And that's kind of the thing here. Especially with like things like like abortion. You could be pro-choice or pro-life. Honestly, I really do see both sides of the coin. And really, it's just there's a lot of really sticky situations there, like situations where the mother could die. Um, so many different sticky situations, and really the problem here is that there's so many times when like real world things don't get blanket. You gotta remember that like there's so many times where not every person falls into a blanket situation. That's the problem here. It's just like, yeah, trying to put everybody in a perfect world, in a perfect situation, inside a box, and saying everybody fits this criteria, whether it's yes or no. It's a tough situation. And when the government tries to tell you what to do with your lives, whether it's yes or no, or good or bad, or trying to tell anybody what to do with their lives, it becomes a really sticky situation. And I think that's going to be a big deciding factor when it comes to voting this year. Um, the number one issue being the economy this year, Yeah. What do you think? What do you think? What is your number one thing when you go to vote here this year? The thing with the economy is that the economy has ups and downs, and like Bernie says, there's 10, 11% inflation in other parts of the world. The sad part about it is that a lot of people don't know that. A lot of people don't know that. They they think it's only here in the US, or for whatever reason, it's this, that, and the other thing. So luckily, if you watch my show, this kind of gives you just a better grasp on things. Not that it's, blame it on this person or that person or that any other thing, but it kind of gives you more of a reality check on kind of just how real things are. And things could always be worse. Things could always be worse. For example, right now, in Kyiv, 80% of Kyiv without water after Russian strikes. This is the capital city of Ukraine. Um, yeah, so wave of missile strikes hit Ukrainian cities, with Kyiv left struggling for power and water. Wheat prices rise after grain deal stumbles. Remember that when wheat prices rise, they rise all across the world, not just in Ukraine. When wheat prices rise, they rise for the entire world. It's just like oil prices. When oil prices rise, the US doesn't have their own oil prices. Oil prices are a global price. Same thing with wheat prices. Okay. So this type of stuff directly affects us here in the United States. So this is from CNBC or NBC, whatever you want to call it, pretty much same thing. That's why I like to show you guys this stuff, because when you see wheat, I mean, wheat literally affects like a vast majority of stuff. Anything made with grain, anything made with bread, any type of crackers, chips. There's so many things made with wheat. Literally just a large portion of food. I mean, Ukraine getting hit with missiles on a weekly basis. And I mean, we're talking about like buildings and hospitals and places where people live, right? 80% of the city without water because basically large swaths of the Ukrainian capital have lost access to water and electricity after Russian strikes on the city's infrastructure Monday morning. Due to damage of the energy facility near Kyiv, specialists are working to restore operation of water stations as soon as possible, advising residents to stock up on water from nearby pumps and stores. Yeah, Russia launched a missile attack on other cities as well, firing more than 50 cruise missiles in total. They hit 10 different regions, most of them energy related. Yikes. And get this, their targets are not even military facilities, of course, but civilian critical infrastructure. Yeah. The Air Force did shoot down 44 cruise missiles of the Russian invaders. It's just sad, really sad. And update number 2, the UK warns Russia of severe consequences if nuclear weapons are used in Ukraine. This is coming from the United Kingdom. So a lot of countries worried about something like this happening. As Russia just not giving up. They're just going to literally take this to the bitter end, I guess. Who knows how long this is going to last. So let me know your thoughts here in the comments. I'll keep you up to date here with everything going on here in our country on a daily basis. Make sure to subscribe and hit the like button for us down below. And I will keep you up to date here with everything going on here in our country on a daily basis. You can click here to watch my newest video next. And you can click here to see our video where we announced $1,000 giveaways that we're giving here and other checks actually going out to millions of Americans. So click on one of those videos next. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.